Good morning, boys and girls. I thought that I would take a few minutes to recap a couple of things that we did yesterday. Today's work is going to involve some more addition of decimals, but a couple of things that were towards the end of the lesson, and I just wanted to present those to you today. So if you remember, one of the things that we learned yesterday about adding decimals is how important it is to pay attention to the place value and where that decimal falls. And that when I'm working with a number like 6, that's fine. But if I'm working with the number 6 and I'm adding it to a decimal, where that 6 is in addition is very important. And we worked on including that decimal and imagining where that decimal would be. Okay, so if I were to put those numbers together, now I'm going to put 2 zeros because I know that I'm working with hundreds and those zeros are going to help me to line up my numbers. And I'm going to put my 200s there. If you wanted to, you could put a 0 here too. 200s and 6. Okay, same thing if I had 5 plus tenths, right? I'm going to remember that there's a decimal here. And if I were to write that over, I'm probably just going to put 1 0 because I know that I'm only adding tenths. I put 2 zeros here because I knew that my number, my decimal, was going to be 2 place values. So I would have 5 plus 8 tenths, and I would have 5 and 8 tenths. So a lot of the addition that you're going to do today is going to require you to pay attention to that whole number and where it falls. Equally, if I had 8 and 2 tenths, sorry, there it is, plus what number is that? Ones, tenths, 800ths. I have to pay attention to where that decimal falls. So again, I'm going to do 8.2, but I know that I'm going to be adding hundreds, so I'm going to put a 0 here to help me remember that I will have an additional number value here. And I'm then going to add my 800ths. And I'm going to have, oops, that's an 8, 2, and just to rewrite that, that would be 8 and 28 hundredths. So today's addition is going to have a lot of different values, combining whole numbers with hundredths, whole numbers with tenths, whole number and tenth, right? 8 and 2 tenths, and just a decimal of 8 hundredths. It might even look something like this. Let's try that one. Okay, so again, I'm going to see that I'm going to end up working with hundreds here. So I know even though this is 2 tenths, I'm going to rename that to 20 hundredths. With the 0 there, right? 2 tenths and 20 hundredths is the same. And that's going to help me because then I know that I'm going to have 29 here. Could look like this. Right? Those are exactly the same. Here are those zeros. I put a 0 here. I put a 0 here. And I put a 0 here to help me with my addition. But either way would be fine. And I'm going to have 9 hundredths, 4 tenths, and it's going to equal 49 hundredths. Same thing here, 9 hundredths, 4 tenths, and no whole number. So your work today, while there'll be mixed numbers, numbers that have whole numbers and also just decimals, you'll have to pay very close attention to where your values fall. How many zeros are you going to use to help you with your place value and making sure that your decimal is lined up? And lastly, I'll give you one last one. 37 and 2/10 plus easy mistake to see the 2 and think it's the same as this 2, but those are very different values. We have 2/10 or 2/100. Obviously 200 being much smaller. 37 and 2/10 plus, I'm even going to put a 0 for my whole number. 0 knows the whole number. I have no tenths, and I have my 2/100. And that's where that 0 is helpful again too, to put it right there. So you have that visual to help you. So here are my 2/100. Here are my 2/10. Here are my 7 ones, and there is my 3 10s. And I read this number as 37 and 22/100. Remember, we read it as a whole number, 22, and I know it's hundreds because the last digit is in the hundreds place. Okay, I think that's quick enough wrap up. Again, today's work is very similar to yesterday's work. The only difference, you're going to have a combination of whole numbers, hundredths, decimal, tenths, and you have to have a quick eye and a careful eye to see where your decimal should go, and utilizing these zeros for place value so that you are accurate in your computations. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll see you soon.